Hello and welcome back everybody. Now we're going to dive into the next part of our GT Performer bike and we're going to build the gyro. If you watch my last video you will see that we've technically already built this, but I saved the video just because I felt the other video went a little bit too long. So I did a bit of a dive into this part to see how it actually worked, because I guess it's a device so BMX bikes can rotate their steering system handlebars without the wires getting twisted and trapped. Quite an interesting little device. As you can see, we have increased the geometry a little bit on these rounded parts because I'm not intending to subdivide these at all. We're just going to go as is because they're quite hidden. You can maybe get a close-up on these in a final render, and I don't think they're going to make too much of a difference in if they're subdivided or not. I have seen already the final example of this and it looks absolutely fine. I don't regret the decision at all. But obviously if you're following along and making this also, feel free to do as you wish. But it's always good to save poly count if you can. So this is quite a boring process, I'm going to be honest with you. It's pretty much the first couple of things are a little bit interesting, how they look, but we're making some bolts and some screws, not exactly inspiring geometry really, but we need to make it. It's important to the bike, it's very visible, and if you cut corners here I think it will probably bring down the final product, which I don't like, so we just need to grit our teeth and make it. And in the end it does actually look like a nice little piece of geometry, so although it's quite boring making this, it did turn out very nice. And when we're done here, we're going to hop over and make the handlebars, which is pretty much the last part of our main frame of the bike. Here we're going to steal some geometry because the next part is like a little, the next plate is not too different in shape. So we try and steal geometry where we can. It was quite hard to find good references of these parts. I found this exploded view as you see on the screen, which explains a little bit how it looks. I'm pretty sure if we got one of these in our hands we'd find a lot of problems with how we built them. But as I like to think, if you have problems finding references for something, then presumably not many people have got eyes on these parts at all, so you know, nobody's going to be looking at it. So we just need to kind of fake it till we make it. Make it look as close as possible. Which is kind of the running theme of my videos. You try and make the effort, and it will pay off in the end, even if you don't succeed 100%. This could be a good time to say I'm really enjoying making these small bikes. They're very nice and intricate, and I'm giving some consideration to making maybe a paid tutorial to go really in depth on some kind of mountain bike. The reason I did a BMX bike here is because there's less parts, much more simple. But if you go into a mountain bike, then you start having suspension systems and the derailleurs, which are incredibly complex. I've been looking at them recently, and they are scary things to model. So I don't know, maybe watch this space. It could be quite a fun thing to do, and that would be if I did it, it would be quite a big video, which will encompass maybe modelling, probably even going over to Marmosettoolbag to show the whole process of texturing, and maybe even go into a little bit of rigging the suspension systems. We'll see. Sounds like a fun idea right now, but maybe if I investigate some more, I might change my mind. It would be good to maybe hear back from you guys, which are following me. We're not so many right now, but what you think about the videos, what you like, what you dislike, what do you think of the volume level. I've tried to increase the volume on this video because I feel like maybe the volume's been a bit low on the other ones. I normally double up the speed to double speed, because I feel the modelling takes quite a long time, and I want to keep the videos in and around an hour, maybe a little bit more. And if we went at 4 speed, it would take way too long. I could model faster, but I don't want to compromise quality. The whole thing about this stream is I want to make really good, high quality models, not compromise whatsoever on just banging out something real fast. And pretty much everything I make in these videos are stuff which I use or sell for myself, so the quality is as high as I can get them for the most part. And obviously, if you're on YouTube, you sit and watching this on YouTube, you know that you can slow the videos down in the settings if you need to, if you want to watch at a regular pace. And this is the first time we've made a bit of a longer build. Normally I do a 1-part video, which is in and out, done. But this one is a little bit of a test to see if people want to follow along on a multi-part build. Maybe we'll never really truly see how this video goes until we're done and we put out the final renders. When the final renders come out, maybe people will look and see, wow, I need to watch these videos. But right now, I mean, you see on the thumbnails, it's just screenshots from Blender. It's not exactly inspiring, man. But what are we going to do? I mean, we're not done yet. I guess I could have recorded all of these parts, got the final renders and released these videos afterwards, but I think this is fine. I'll go in afterwards and fill in the replace the thumbnails with actual renders. So these are our parts here. We're going to see if we can fit them together. It's going to take a little bit of resizing. You can see with this internal piece, it's to do with the solidify modifier. It's too thick and the geometry is too tight. And also we're trying to run a solidify modifier, I think, on a piece of geometry which already has thickness to it. I realised this soon, and we just go ahead and delete it, I think. You can see it, we already have thickness here. And we use the edge smooth modifier here to smooth out. If you can see from this distance, they look absolutely fine. Now we're going to see if we can put the pieces together. There's a function in Marmosettoolbag now where you can use a bevel shader. Blender has the same shader, I think. And the reason we haven't added a bevel onto these right now is because I intended to do the bevel in the shader level. But I haven't really got it to work as yet. It's working in Marmoset, but when I send over the normal maps, I can't get the bevel to show, which is a little bit strange. I'm going to keep working on it, but it's not such a big deal because otherwise we just add the bevel modifier, or I guess we could also do it in Blender's shader level. I'm going to have a play with it. This is the most boring part, modifying bolts to reduce geometry. I pretty much always do this. I mean, just delete the parts which aren't going to be visible. There's so much geometry for a screw bolt. mean, I'm also a little bit lazy. I should probably edit one of these bolts and keep it in our asset library to reuse, but I don't. I just go in every time and edit. You can see here that bevels become a bit crazy. It's because of the scaling. You always have to have the right scaling, otherwise your bevels will be slanted towards the top of the bottom. Here you can pretty much add whatever kind of bolts and screws you want to. I've tried to have a little bit of a look at references, but they're all different. Some are black, some are white, some are silver. They all seem to be different styles. Just need to make it so it looks maybe a little bit interesting. I mean, you don't want it just to be round cylinders. It's quite boring. You want to increase the visual interest to make it look realistic. So that's complete. Now we go over to the front forks. So I have found a reference for the fork, and I had a bit of difficulty with the scaling. So here we're just going to try and get a rough scale from this reference of how big the fork needs to be. And then we'll take it over to our other reference. Again, we decide to steal some geometry from this tube here, so we get pretty much the right sizing straight off the bat. You can see it's thicker than our reference. I'm not sure why. I mean, presumably we have made it a little bit too big here. If you want to, you can make it smaller. I think the end result does look fine. Good even. You don't really see this top tube anyway. It's inserted into the main frame. When you make a curve, try and make it as smooth as possible, which is why I use the subsurface modifier. The smoother your curve is, the smoother your end result will be. I always find it easier to make a curve with actual geometry first and convert it to a curve. instead of adding an actual curve from the start. I just think it's more effective, easier to work with. It was quite fast here. It's a process we've done quite a few times. You can slow it down to have a look, but when you to make something follow a curve, you need to make the correct size on the curve, origin point to geometry, cursor to geometry, and then on the piece which is going to follow, the side fork here, you then move geometry and origin point to the 3D cursor. It sounds a lot, but if you just follow those instructions, slow down the video and follow, that's how you get it exactly on the curve. There's a long time when I didn't really realize this, and every time I tried to get something to follow a curve, it just ended up being somewhere else in the 3D space, and I just could not work out why. And there is a logic to it. So here we're just on cleanup. And as normal, we rely quite heavily on the symmetrize function. Here we're trying to collapse some edges. Remember, just try and think which curve is the most important to maintain, and try and compromise, collapse things maybe into the middle of 2 points so you keep the general shape. And also think in real life this is two tubes which are welded together, so there is going to be a bit of disruption in the shaping. It's unnecessary to go crazy here. If it looks too perfect, then it's probably going to look too fake. Some internal faces to get rid of. And here we can see the center point on the x-axis isn't exactly in the middle, which is why you have a double edge here. So we go above and select everything and just scale to world center. Or it's scale to the center point of these vertices. You can see the red markings on the geometry is because we stole this from the main frame, which we've already unwrapped and added creases. If you're wondering where it came from. So we need to fix the visuals here. I'm not too happy with how it looks. Sometimes you just need to play around to get the result you want. There's not always one way to it. Sometimes you just need to play around. We add some thickness here. We have no references of these points underneath the fork. I mean, we're just kind of guessing, trying to make something which looks like it might work. And this is the bolt hole which would generally hold the braking system. I'm trying to remember how it looks on these BMX bikes. I think we will have the brakes in that hole on the front, but on the back they do not sit just below the saddle like you would expect. I think they're further down in a different position. Maybe something specific with BMX bikes, I'm not too sure. So now we're going to make the this little thing which captures the wheel. I'm just moving some geometry in place so we have a bit of a measurement of where it's meant to be. So again, this piece of geometry, really difficult to try and find any good references. Very hard to find them side on like we have now. So we find a compromise. I kind of roughly sketch out where this is going to be, the size, and then I have a dig and find some reference, which you're going to see now. And you can see it's angled, so we pretty much just play it by ear, just try and make something which looks roughly how it's meant to look. Pretty much the thing I hate winging it. I really like to have references. I'm very much a methodical kind of person. Which is also my downside, because although I love art and 3D art, I'm not exactly the most creative kind of person, I find. I struggle to come up with original ideas, which is why I kind of just make things which I see, which is fun. It's fun to do. It's fun to imitate life, but I wish also I could be one of these persons who can just dream up an original concept. But I don't know, maybe you need to do loads and loads of drugs to do that, which I'm not there yet in my life. Here I speed up to 4 times the speed, because this is just filling in vertices. There's no rhyme or reason here whatsoever. It's not a part which is going to be deformed in any way, so you can pretty much do whatever you want with the geometry. Then we inset it. because the subdivision will be on the whole fork, so we want to prepare for when we solidify. Now we're just going to sharpen some corners. I find these holes a little bit too small. This is something I've become a little bit more relaxed with. You can see I just had these small triangle cuts. There was a time when I would go crazy and try and make them into quads also, which you can do. I mean, it's a little bit of a waste of time. Now we're just going to guess the thickness. Again, really hard with references here, but we have to just go with something which feels okay. A little bit too thick here, we need to make it a bit thinner, I think. And we could have tied this geometry together properly, but we're going to do the same as we did on the other piece, where we're just going to use the shrink wrap. We extend out a little edge here once or twice, and then we add those to a vertex group and shrink wrap them onto the post, and it works perfectly. And the reason we're making an extra edge here is because when I go into tool bag, I'm going to add a weld, so we need to have geometry there. If you just had a shrink wrap straight to the post, it causes a little bit of problems putting some normal information there, because essentially you have no surface. So when we collapse this modifier now, you're going to see great, no problems. Then I become a little bit unhappy and I want to add more geometry to this hole. I don't feel like it's enough with 4 vertices, which, looking at it now, I mean, I think we could have got away with it. I think the thing I was thinking about, maybe I wasn't completely sure if we're going to have the brakes here. If we have the brakes here, then this is completely pointless, because you're not even going to see this hole. But it's not the whole world. I mean, it's 4 extra points. So this is You see the material is basically a placeholder material. Gives us a good idea of how it looks anyway. Now we do a symmetrize, which gives us extra geometry back here, which we easily just delete. There's also a benefit of our shrink wrapping. And now we go into the second most boring part of this video, is these small bolts and rings around the middle, which again is tedious. I take way too much time doing this, pretty much because I couldn't decide how I wanted them to look. Again, references were everywhere. Just trying to make a few sharp edges. Just indecision. But as you can see right now, this would have been a very boring result, just 2 rings there. I mean, it needs to be a bit different. You need to put a bit of effort in here, which is why I change things. I guess it's also like a functional thing. I mean, you need to think about when you make something, what is the function? If you had 2 of those rings, then I'm assuming why not just have one big ring? It feels like if you're going to have 2 pieces of metal around here, they need to both be doing different jobs, which is why one should maybe look different from the others. I don't know, maybe. So when I'm done farting around here, you will see that we're pretty much done. It's a good result. I'll go over to Marmoset shortly and import our textures. Here we've managed to pick up an extra piece of extra edge, you see. Go in and delete. I'm not sure where it came from. It throws off the curvature, so we just dissolve it. Same on the other one. God knows where that came from. So textures imported. This is the result with our welds and some surface damage and some dirt. Maybe it's overboard, hard to tell at this point. Again, we need to get everything together to see what's visible. Added some damage around the curves here, because I guess getting the wheel in and out is going to cause some kind of damage. It will most certainly be a case of when we put everything together at the end, we need to make sure the textures kind of join up. One part is not more dirty than the other. And you can see when everything's together here, it's starting to look really good. Gyro is extremely dirty. I need to pull back a little bit on the dirt here. I'm thinking it's not something you want to clean generally. I mean, it looks like it's going to be quite dirty, but I feel like the wheels I need to make a bit more dirt. But realism wise, I mean, it doesn't look so clean. It doesn't look like it's straight off the shop floor, which is exactly what we're going after. So I'm pretty happy so far. I mean, the thing's really going to look good when we get some decals on. I think the next video we'll probably go and do the saddle, I think. Saddle all the tyres. And we're also going to play around with some more colours. Also the hot pink looks nice. I want to try also a silver variation, but that will come at the end, I think. So thanks for today. We'll see you in the next video. Take it easy. Thank you.